Okay, we had the new parts come through from the factory. We'll get them on the car ahead of FP1.
What's going on, guys? It's Luke22SE here, and we're here with the 5th round of the Season 2 of the Mick Schumacher career mode. Here for the Spanish Grand Prix this weekend. We're just selecting an arrival, but we've had an upgrade to the tyre wear actually on the chassis side of things. We're selecting Nico Hulkenberg as our rival. Renault looking quite good at the moment. We've got some more upgrades coming on the way, heading towards Monaco. Renault have actually overtaken Mercedes as well at this point, so Renault really looking strong. So Mercedes struggling with upgrading their car, Red Bull and Ferrari continuing to improve. Williams actually bringing some upgrades as well, and ourselves and Force India also coming to upgrades with upgrades to the Spanish Grand Prix. So it all bodes for an interesting weekend then, with all the top, well, most of the field are now bunching up together. So you can see like Red Bull and Ferrari are still the best, but everyone else is behind them, still closing that gap in. So we haven't really got a class of 3 at the top anymore like we did in Season 1. So it should be interesting to see how we do. Now heading into Season 2 then of the Spanish Grand Prix. This should be an interesting weekend for us, coming off the back of a win, of course, with Charles Leclercs winning for us in round 4 in Azerbaijan. We are hoping to replicate that as well in here. So can we replicate Charles Leclerc's performance? Will we have another win? It's going to be depending on how well we're doing qualifying as well. But 1-2 actually, it was in Azerbaijan of ourselves, just about finishing second after an incident-packed race, which led to Raikkonen retiring. Of course, Ferrari having more problems, but Verstappen going fastest. And this is one of my actual favourite tracks. Never used to be a good track for me, but just enjoy the layout, and just a nice track to drive around. Coming part to one of my favourite corners in Formula 1. Just to get it's nice when you get it right and you get the DRS open and get it down, and braking as late as possible without looking up. Heading into this hairpin, we're actually purple on Max Verstappen at this point, so it's looking good for lap time wise. But coming up to the end of this lap, where it used to be a long right-hander, but now it's a short right-hander, and followed by a chicane, maybe taking out the part of the magic of this track that used to be really long and really fast. We're going around that last corner, but we're coming across the line then, and we go into provisional pole position, and that's ideal for us. We're going to end the session with that. Can we stay on pole position, or are we going to slip down? And we do slip down. Of course, the Red Bulls are the fastest, with Max Verstappen second and Ricciardo first. So Red Bull looking strong yet again. They're going to be very hard to beat this season, and the Hulkenberg was up there in 4th, so Renault proving that they're good. But Sainz is down there in 12th, and our teammates down in 15th. So one Renault performing, one Sauber performing, and Mercedes, they aren't really, well, they're in there as well, 6th and 7th, so not really doing too bad. Force India are in the top 10, both Force Indias, and Vettel down in 10th, so Ferrari struggling a bit there. Vettel, Ferrari needing to get their season back on track as well. As you can see, Alonso actually doing quite well for McLaren, and Haas as well getting in 11th. So we'll move on to the race then for the Spanish Grand Prix. What can we do from P5 on the grid? We had a good race here last season. We were best of the rest, I think, in qualifying. Ended up finishing P8. What can we do here, though? It's a different kettle of fish, I guess, today, because all the field is completely different to how it was last season. But we move on to the start then for the grid for the Spanish Grand Prix. Has it changed at all from qualifying? No, the Red Bulls are still on the front row. Ricciardo on pole from Verstappen. Raikkonen 3rd. Hulkenberg doing well for Renault in 4th. And it's myself in 5th. And then Bottas, Hamilton, Perez, Ocon and Vettel rounding up the top 10. Then it's Grosjean, Sainz disappointed in 12th, Alonso 13th, Gasly 14th, my teammate in a poor 15th after coming off his win, Magnussen down in 17th, Stoffel Van Dorn down in 20th and after his penalty, so Van Dorn the only one to have a penalty. We move on to then the grid then, so we head on to those 5 red lights then for the start of the Spanish Grand Prix. What's it going to be for us? Can we get a good start? We get out and it's lights out and away we go, and it's a fairly poor start, and Bottas is looking to get past us. Hamilton's looking for a way past us but can't get past us. He's got no room, but now he's going down the inside. Bottas has already got past us, but going into turn 1 we go round the outside of Hulkenberg, then Verstappen, then Ricciardo. It might have been the other way round actually, but we get a great round turn 1, overtaking 3 cars there, Hulkenberg and both the Red Bulls going really slowly around the first few corners. So we're up into P2 then after the first corner. Great start for us then after a little poor getaway. We're now in P2, gaining 3 places off the start. And now Raikkonen is ahead of us, so Raikkonen leading the way. So Raikkonen's also had a great start from P3. So Raikkonen needing a result for Ferrari. We go a bit onto the grass there, so we lost a bit of time onto the gravel as well. So going onto the grass led to us going onto the gravel. Verstappen's going to be interested coming out onto this back straight. You can see the proximity arrow. Can we keep ahead of him going into the next hairpin? P2 after lap 1 by the looks of it then. Raikkonen leading the way. So Raikkonen getting a good start for Ferrari, a much needed start for Ferrari. Exactly what Ferrari need here. So what can Ferrari do in this race? Can Ferrari get that podium that they've been after for so long? I think they haven't had a podium all season yet. Actually, I think Vettel might have actually got on the podium in... no, I think he didn't actually. It was one of the Red Bulls, wasn't it? But yeah, Raikkonen then leading the race from P1, myself in P2, Verstappen in P3, Ricciardo in P4, I believe. So heading around turn 1, we're going to have a look at the replay then of the start. What happened here? A poor getaway from ourselves. You can see Bottas and Hamilton getting a good start. Hamilton looking to get past us, but no room. Goes to the inside. Raikkonen getting in between both the Red Bulls. So you can see Raikkonen getting past Red Bull there. Hulkenberg going slowly. Red Bull getting forced out by Raikkonen actually, which led to him going slowly. I'm not really sure why Verstappen went so slowly around turn 1 and turn 2, but we're not complaining. We're going to take that position. We're going to move ahead of both the Red Bulls. We're going to take P2 away from those guys. So a good start from us up into P2 ahead of both the Red Bulls. Can we head after that P1, which is what we were after seeing our teammate win? We're now after our own win. Now on lap 4 now, we're actually closing in on Raikkonen. We've set the fastest lap of the race. So can we close in on Raikkonen? Can we actually fight him here for a point? Can we fight him here for the win? We've got Ricciardo now in third. So Ricciardo's leading Red Bull driver. Let's go off a bit there. We'll go a bit wide, bit understeer. He's still in his car. We're still making improvements every race as possible. But coming then, we're just a second behind Raikkonen, 1.5 seconds ahead of Ricciardo. So our main target here is Raikkonen. We're not focusing on defending, we're focusing on attacking, which feels great. All these upgrades that we've had to the car, we're now focusing on actually gaining places rather than defending places in the race. So can we actually get close enough to Raikkonen then to challenge for the lead of this Grand Prix? We're just going as quickly as possible, but at the moment we're saving a bit up ERS. We've got DRS though, closes in on Raikkonen on the back straight. Can't really get close enough to actually consider going down the inside or out on the outside to make an overtake. But we're in a second now of Raikkonen, and we close in on Raikkonen, who's desperate for a result. Ferrari are desperate for their first podium of the season, and we're desperate for our first win of the season. After seeing Leclercs win, we like to win ourselves and prove that we're the lead driver for Sauber to go with. But Leclerc is way down the order at this stage after having such a poor qualifying. I don't know why he was so poor in qualifying, but our main focus is ourselves here in the race, and we're actually falling back a little bit after that sector from Raikkonen, who's gained a couple of attempts on us, and Ricciardo still about the same gap. He's about 1.5, 1.6 seconds behind, and we've actually had to go off from that corner. The tyres are starting to wear out a little bit here, so we're going to pit this lap for a fresh set of soft tyres after binning off these super soft tyres. It'd be ideal to see if we can get an undercut on Raikkonen. Unless Raikkonen's pitting on this lap, we don't know yet, but we're going to try and pit this lap, and hopefully Raikkonen will be going on and we'll be able to get an undercut on Raikkonen to see if we can get ahead of him, and hopefully we'll be leading the race in a few laps time. But it would be awesome to actually get close enough to perform an overtake on him on track. We're actually getting closer here towards the end of this lap. We're actually it looks like we're within the second, and yes, we have got DRS, but it doesn't really look like we'll be able to get close enough down the back straight. It's not the longest straight here to get an overtake, so we're going to have to settle for P2. We actually drop down the ERS mode again, drop down the fuel mix, and we're going to settle for P2 coming into the pits. And if we can get an undercut on Raikkonen, we should be close enough to actually overtake him in the pit lane, providing our outlap is good, and providing that Raikkonen's tyres are starting to go off a bit more as well. So P2 then coming into our first pit stop, well, which should be our only pit stop, hitting the bollard on the way in. And DRS would have been available, but we're in the pits, and we're going to slow down, get the pit limiter on, and we're going to come into the pits and see if we can get a good pit stop. And Raikkonen did indeed go on, so can we get an undercut then on Raikkonen? We're going to pit in for the soft tyres and hopefully get out ahead of out in no trouble as well. So a nice clean pit stop then. We're out in P14 at this stage, but a few cars are going to be going past. Ricciardo pitting as well, but Stoffel Van Dorn is coming down the pits, and Van Dorn's got ahead of us, so it was disappointing that Van Dorn got ahead of us. We didn't get a pit limiter on in time, but I don't think it would have actually got us ahead of Van Dorn if we did get a pit limiter on earlier. But Van Dorn then ahead of us, so is he going to cause us any problems on this outlap? We've got ERS to the full, but not the fuel mix, because haven't got much fuel to burn. So we've got our ERS mode, and we're already catching right up behind Stoffel Van Dorn. So this is going to be a true test of whether we can actually, it's crucial now, whether we can get past Van Dorn and hopefully get ahead of him and be able to get a good outlap and be able to come out ahead of Raikkonen at the end of this lap. But we're getting held up badly by Van Dorn here, just thinking about making a move because he's holding us up so badly, and that's cost us a lot of time at the moment. So we've got DRS open. Can we get past Van Dorn? We need to get past Van Dorn into the next corner, and we do indeed get down the inside. Van Dorn leaves us enough room. We get past him. Ricciardo is even closing in on us then. So Ricciardo was 1.5 seconds down on us before the pit stops. It was right behind us, and we're onto the gravel, so that's cost us a lot of time as well. So not good outlap then. So it looks like Raikkonen might be able to keep his position in P1. So we're going to come around the next corner, and Raikkonen is in the pits at the moment. So we'll come around the last corner then to see if we can get the undercut on Raikkonen. Is it looking likely? As Raikkonen's coming out of the pits, you can see Verstappen coming out of the pits from Ricciardo, and it looks like Raikkonen has got out ahead of us, and Ricciardo's going past Van Dorn into turn 1. So Red Bull have got to get past both Van Dorn, but as you can see, Raikkonen is ahead of us. So we've just managed to we've closed in on him a lot. So can we get past Raikkonen? The undercut's almost worked. Can we get past him into the next 2 corners? It's going to be a true test whether we can or not. But we're closer to Raikkonen. We could have been ahead of him had we not encountered Stoffel Van Dorn, who is being encountered by Verstappen now as well. So we're heading towards the next corner. We're going to have DRS coming up fairly shortly. But can that be an overtaking opportunity for ourselves to get past Kimi Raikkonen in the next straight? What can we do? We're right up tucked behind his gearbox. He's got a better exit though out of that left-hander, right-hander, and we now not really close enough. We're thinking about making an overtake. We do dive down the inside, and we're side by side with Raikkonen. He's going to get a better exit though, and indeed Raikkonen does keep hold of P1 or provisional P1 at this stage. And look how close Ricciardo is now. So Ricciardo getting really close to us too. It's a three-way battle for the lead here. Who's going to come out on top? Surely we're going to be close enough to Raikkonen to actually get past him on the straight though. This is a way longer straight than it is on the back straight. So surely coming down the start-finish straight, we should be able to get DRS open and be able to overtake Raikkonen for P1. And indeed, we've got DRS open. We're closing in on Raikkonen's gearbox. We're going to pull out to the right. We're going to go down the inside, and we're going to be past him before we even get to the braking zone. So we lead the race then, coming from Raikkonen, from Ricciardo. After the next corner, we almost actually go off, but we do manage to keep it on the track, so we can keep our position. We get into P1. We're ahead of Kimi Raikkonen at this stage. Can he fight back? Going into turn 6, where Rosberg and Hamilton thrashed famously a few years ago into each other. But indeed, we do keep ahead of Raikkonen for this stage. And indeed, we're now leading the way at this Spanish Grand Prix. Can we keep hold of P1? Are we going to stay ahead of Raikkonen or Verstappen? And indeed, moving on, just a few moments after that, we actually see that there's a yellow flag behind us and someone is out of the race. And it doesn't look like it's Raikkonen this time, because Raikkonen's still carrying on. And indeed, it's actually Max Verstappen. So Red Bull getting their first issues of the season then, with Max Verstappen retiring from the race. A championship contender falling out. So Daniel Ricciardo will be smiling like a... Well, I don't know what he'd be smiling like, but he'll be smiling happily in that cockpit, and he'll be delighted. So that's his true championship contender at the moment out of this race. So Ricciardo getting all the points for Red Bull. It's just basically a two-horse race with the Red Bulls at the moment, with myself now leading the race with Raikkonen in second, Ricciardo third, heading towards the end of this lap. We're moving on to lap 9 now, but moving on to the end of lap 10 towards lap 11. We're running a bit wide, and Raikkonen's now close enough to actually get DRS. Can Raikkonen get DRS and overtake us into turn 1? He's looking very close, heading on to lap 11 with just 7 laps left to go. Can we keep hold of first place? Raikkonen's looking to make a move down the inside. Can he get down the inside? He's looking down the inside, but we do not have to concede the position, and indeed actually can stay in P1. So we're still leading the way at this stage on lap 11. Raikkonen can't get past us, but moving on then to the end of lap 12, we're still ahead of Raikkonen, still ahead of Ricciardo. So Ricciardo and Raikkonen still following us. So despite leading the race, we still don't have the fastest car at the moment. So Ferrari and Red Bull just finding it much easier than us. And indeed, Red Bull should be really winning this race, but after a poor start, they just haven't been able to get back into the lead. With Ricciardo and Verstappen having poor starts, falling down to P3 and P4. Of course, Verstappen is out of the race now, and Ricciardo's their only hope. But we're leading the race with just 5 laps left to go. Come around turn 6, and we actually go a bit wide, and that's cost us a lot of time. We're onto the grass, and Raikkonen now leads the race. So we lost P1, so it's a disaster. Just like in Azerbaijan, we threw away second place, but managed to get it back. Can we get back P1 in this race? Because we just thrown it away again with a little mistake going out wide. But we're looking like close enough to actually be able to make a move, perhaps get DRS on the next straight. We got DRS, we've had to slow down a little bit. Can we get an overtake back on Raikkonen. We need to get past him, otherwise he's going to pull away. So we dive down the inside on Raikkonen, getting into the next corner. Can we get ahead of him? Is he going to get a better exit? We go through the next left-hander and we just get over that curb and we contact with Raikkonen, and that curve's just ruined us a little bit there. So going over that curve, it's just thrown us into Raikkonen. Raikkonen's in a spin, and that's a complete disaster. We've collided with Raikkonen a few times already this season, and that's just ruined Ricciardo as well. So good news for us, really, that our little must jump over the curb. And here's the replay. We go down the inside of Raikkonen. What on earth happened here? We just go over the curb, and that just throws us into Raikkonen, and then he ends up going out a bit wide and collides with us. And Ricciardo loses a bit of front up. Here's the on board with Raikkonen then. What on earth happened here? This is a complete disaster. We've had 2 collisions with Raikkonen, so easy our new Magnussen. What happened here? We go over the curb, make contact with him, then he's just off the track and then comes back on, and well, he's going to have to go back to the pit, so more trouble for Ferrari when it just nothing seems to go their way. And here's Ricciardo's view of the incident. We go down the inside of Raikkonen, locking up our brakes, looking to get a fairly decent exit, but Raikkonen getting the better exit. We go over the curb, and that forces us into the front of Raikkonen, and there's nothing we could do, and for some reason Ricciardo just bashes him out the way. Ricciardo lucky to not damage his front wing too much. He might have even picked up a bit of front wing damage there actually, but Raikkonen coming back to the pits then, but we're moving on to the end of the race. We've got 1 lap to go then. Raikkonen's pitted, Ricciardo's fallen back a little just because of his front wing damage. So we're coming on to the final lap of the race. We're leading the race. A great result for us this would be. So we're leading the race here at the end of the race. Coming towards the last lap, we've got Vettel who's on the podium. So Ferrari looking like they might be able to break their podium break after 5 races. Complete disaster then. But Vettel then will be happy with that. What a relief it is for Ferrari to get back on the podium after such a poor start to the season. It looks like things may be starting to get improved for them. And it would have improved had Raikkonen perhaps not had an incident with me. A bit of a racing incident I think it was. We went over the curb and then we were so close to Raikkonen, and one of us was going to lose out, and Raikkonen ended up losing out. It could have been us that lost out, of course, because we went over the curb and anything could have happened then. But we're coming on to the end of this race. It was a good battle with Raikkonen, good battle with Ricciardo as well, and a good start which really really helped us in the end. The overtakes on the first corner of the first lap, which helped us win this race today, and the undercut as well, almost ruined by Stoffel Van Dorn. But we're coming towards the end of this race, and it's going to be 2 wins in a row for Alfa Romeo Sauber, and the first win in this career mode for ourselves. So great result for us as we come around the final lap of the final corner, and we're going to win the race. Mick Schumacher getting his first win in Spain, just like Michael Schumacher got his first win for Ferrari in Spain. So our first win of this career mode, coming in a bit of a controversial circumstances, colliding with Raikkonen, but we're really happy with that. We're going to be joined on the podium by Ricciardo and by Sebastian Vettel. So a good result for myself, and good result again for Sauber. So Sauber looking really strong at this season, despite not looking too strong at the start in pre-season. We had a lucky result in Australia with teams falling apart at the start of the race, a lot of incidents. A good result in China as well. A mediocre result in Bahrain. A fantastic result in Azerbaijan, and another good result in another good result in Spain. We've had 3 podiums in a row, so great news for us. We go to the top step of that podium to pick up the first place trophy. It's going to be a huge win for us. Can we get some more wins this season? Can we compete for the title? That's going to be a question that's going to have to be asked now. What can we do with that? Vettel is third. He gets his first podium of the season. Ferrari's first podium of the season after such a difficult start for Ferrari. Ricciardo then will be leading the championship after that. So coming towards the end of the race and the end of the episode, we got the end of the race, and you can see Hulkenberg was 5th for Renault in the end, so he wasn't the best result for Renault after decent qualifying, but Sainz got into the points. Sauber, my teammate Leclerc, only finished in 13th, so he couldn't get enough places, and there we go. We can see Ricciardo leading the way. We're up to P2 in the championship at the moment, so can we challenge then for the title? It's going to be a huge ask, and we move on to the constructors. We can see Daniel Ricciardo has helped Red Bull into first place, move quite clear, and Haas has gained points as well on McLaren and Toro Rosso in their little battle. But that's going to be the end of the episode there. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon for the Monaco Grand Prix. Cheers.